Marco.
Sean.
Think of RSA Conference with 0 security analysts, because we fired them all because of all the AI that the vendors brought and replaced all the roles.
Yeah, I'm expecting only computers on the floor at the expo. I don't even want to talk to people anymore.
I'm expecting computers walking around with bags, grabbing all the swag. That's all they're there for.
Grabbing floppy disk, old school, vintage. That'd be kind of fun, actually. I'll be up for that.
Yeah. I don't know. All the talk is how we're gonna save time for the analysts, but then take that initial job away from them and give it to somewhere else. And I don't know. I have certain views on that, and I know our guest has a certain view on that as well. Monzy Merza from Crogl. How are you, my friend?
I'm well. Good to see you guys. How you doing?
Good to see you. We're all making our way to San Francisco. The journey to what is RSA Conference, and should be another good year. Should be a good year.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. It's been an exciting year in cyberspace this last year. Lots has happened, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens at RSA Conference.
Yeah, it's a good place to see what's going on and have the important conversations that matter. So, Monzy, hopefully folks have heard some of our chats with you talking about all the cool stuff you're doing at Crogl. But for folks who haven't heard of you and Crogl yet, maybe a few words to say where you started at, how you came up with the idea for Crogl, and what's going on.
Yeah, we started Crogl 2023 with a very crazy aspiration. We wanted to make, and still want to enable every security practitioner to be as effective as their entire team. It's a ridiculous proposition, but we don't say that with naivety. I've been in the space for many years, in the weapons labs, it's Splunk and Databricks. So we appreciate, as Croglers, we appreciate how difficult that is, but we also appreciate how important that is. And that's why we created Crogl, and Crogl is an agentic AI SOC system that allows our customers to investigate alerts, threat hunt, document all of their work automatically, and do that in a secure and governable platform that doesn't require data normalization, that uses the models, the language model that the customer wants to use on the footprint where the customer wants to deploy it. And we are very fortunate to have earned as customers companies like energy utility company or agency out of the Department of War who are using Crogl for thousands and thousands of alerts, for 6, 7, 8 data lakes that they have. One of our customers has 3 SIEMs, 2 SOAR platforms. So it's been an amazing journey to continue to serve this community.
Yeah,
I love it. Oh, and yeah, so I think what I heard there is you enable the customer to do what they want on the footprint that they want, which to me says you're helping them do it with the tools and the data and the services and what have you, all on the platform. You're not replacing what they're doing. And so I want to dig into that a little bit. This view, we
just started. You want to start controversy already?
I think we start off with a bang, my friend, because
he has an agenda.
Well, I know I've had, obviously I have a lot of conversations all the time, but it seems to be ramping up, the idea that we can eliminate a lot of the tasks, which, well, we're going to talk about. I think there are some things we can help with, but to suggest perhaps that we're going to take over the role with technology, I think that's up for debate. I think some companies are trying to do it. I don't know what they're losing when they do. So what are your thoughts? I don't want to feed this too much.
I don't think it's. I mean, there is conversation around this. In my mind, there is no debate here. I believe very strongly, looking at what's happening in the cybersecurity space right now, both from the threat perspective, from the technology perspective, from the business perspective, there will be more security engineers next year than there are today.
The
And I don't know if
opposite
I
of
should get one of those. Maybe I should get one of those tables and say change my mind or something, right? It's not about changing my mind. I think we should look at the data, see where things are going. We have a net, and the one hint I will give, and I'm happy to talk to people in more detail on this at RSAC Conference, is we are at the inflection point of a completely net new terrain that none of us has seen. Like, think about this. If we go back like 15 years and I told you you're going to get like 300 alerts a day from your cloud platform, you're going to look at me and laugh at me and say, well, I don't, what are you talking about? And now we live in that world. Similarly with AI, we're going to see the same thing. There's going to be more. Okay, so that's maybe too technical or too much of like a backwards looking thing. I have another one, completely non-cyber related. When I was a young kid, oftentimes parents would test intelligence of their children based on the number of phone numbers I would remember. Right? Remember, we would remember like uncles and grandparents and our friends from school, and we'd remember those phone numbers. We don't remember phone numbers anymore. But do we send more text messages and communicate with more people today than when we remembered phone numbers? Yeah, by a long shot, way order of magnitude. So the automation in the machine accelerated our volume and velocity of communication, right? The same thing is going to happen here, where the inclusion of AI in business and the inclusion of AI from a threat actor's point of view is going to create more opportunities and more requirements for the security practitioners and businesses, which is one major reason why I'm saying we're going to have more security engineers. They might not be doing the same jobs they do today, but there will be more security engineers because they're going to be doing other things.
You know what's interesting now that you even get away from cybersecurity specific and you think of technology in general, one of the things we often see is that the prediction don't necessarily become true because people take technology and then they use it in a different way than what we expected to use it. And you can analyze and predict all you want, but that's where we are. And I think the biggest problem that a company could have is to just don't be able to adopt the product as it evolve with society and technology. So where I want to go with this is, how is Crogl adapting to these changes that are happening and not just say, well, this is not what I thought it was going to be. I'm going to stick with what I started with.
Yeah, I think that's a difference between an entrepreneur who just wants to create a company versus somebody or some group of people, in the case of Crogl, a whole group of people that work here, both developers and practitioners, who've always served the community and are really focused on the mission and not focused on this is the widget I'm building. And as the mission evolves, the builders of and people who serve that mission need to change and evolve. I mean, this morning it was 42 degrees outside, so I had a little bit of a jacket. It's not that weather anymore, so I changed. It doesn't make me a hypocrite. It makes me intelligent. That I'm acting in the environment that best suits the objectives, right? And so similarly, I think the security industry is the same way. And for us, we made some hard choices, which were mission oriented and not entrepreneurial. One of the big ones was that we're going to build a system that is completely self-contained so that it can be deployed in the most critical environments in the world. And oftentimes, people say, oh, government environments. Yeah, true. But also electric utility companies, financial services organizations, manufacturing plants. These are the places that come to a halt when there is a ransomware attack. These are the places that come to a halt when there is a really fast-moving agentic system that's attacking you because you have old technology, right? So these are the underpinnings of how our world operates today. So we chose to serve the mission. For the longest time, we didn't even put AI on our website because it's like, yeah, of course, it's a means to an end. Some of the folks who are building the Crogl product, we've been working with AI for 15 years. Yeah, it wasn't large language models. But we've been doing machine learning work. There's patents and patents that people can go look up for the Crogl team on the work that we've been doing for many, many years in different organizations. And so the key word here really is, Marco, to your point, is it's focused on the mission. And so therefore you evolve. Like, I'll give you another sort of example from a product point of view, and I think other people will eventually start doing this too, because they'll have to. When you do security analysis and you look at data across multiple data lakes, right? Everybody does that. Nobody's data is sitting in one place, because the different data stores are used for different purposes, and different tools put data in different places. And yes, many organizations have data unification projects, but nobody has all their data in one place. Well, if that's the case, like, why not build a product that doesn't care about data normalization? Just accept that. That's the reality. So why keep telling people, hey, before this amazing thing is going to work for you, you should normalize your data? I mean, that's a ridiculous proposition. So we chose to take on that problem as a product. I'll give you one last example. And I really invite people to come to the RSA Conference, take a look at how this works in action. You have data in multiple places. So everybody agrees, right? It's okay to use S3 buckets and use, your other favorite data lakes, or whether it's Splunk or Databricks or whatever you use. Well, then why are you not adopting that same thought process when it comes to large language models? Different models are good for different things. So why do you want to live in a world where you buy a security product that is married and bolted and welded on with a single language model? You should be able to use whatever you want. You should be able to change whenever you want. Hard problem to solve, but a problem worthy of solving if you're mission oriented. We are mission oriented, and we solve that problem for the community so that they can choose their own adventure. And so what's the other piece of that? The other piece of this is really prioritizing, and this goes back to Sean's comment, that's what I was saying is controversial about people, is prioritizing the human analyst, or prioritizing the human practitioner, prioritizing the human leader, to say it's their business, they know it best, they will get the outcomes. And our job as product builders is to enable them and empower them to do what they want to do, faster, better, cheaper, smarter, whatever those outcomes are. It's our job to serve them. It's not our job to go tell them that the sky is pink. And maybe it is, but that's their call. We just want to be there when they want to do the work.
So, and I want to we'll get to the booth part, where I know you're going to have some systems up and running, and you'll be doing some demos, and that's my understanding that you'll also give folks a chance to run through their own scenarios. So a demo that's not pre-canned, they can actually put their hands on it and do some things. So we'll talk about that. But before folks get to that, it's fun to put the hands on the keyboard and look at numbers and things to take action on. But let's look at the program first, because I want to understand from you what some of the conversations sound like, where organizations may be thinking they're focusing on the right thing. So they have their own view of what their mission is, likely tied to constraints with their own budgets, the tech they've deployed, the data, where the data lives, as you're describing, legacy app or systems that are air-gapped, like you're describing in some scenarios. And so they think they have the mission in mind, but the priorities are out of whack, or the plan is out of whack, because they're constraining themselves, kind of to your point. If you're forcing them to do something and they can't get past that something to get to the results, you're kind of stuck. So where do organizations, sorry, long preamble here, where do organizations think they're on the right track, have a conversation with you and realize we have a different path that's much easier and faster, and we remove a lot of roadblocks because we didn't think about X, Y, and Z in this way?
Yeah, I think it changes the kinds of questions, because it takes a little bit of a preamble, I think, even in the conversations that I have. I'll give you an example from this morning. I had a call with a very sophisticated, world-class cybersecurity team, and at one of the gov agencies. And The conversation started with, the usual testing that anybody should do of a vendor. But once they realized how we were building and how we were thinking about the problem set, the conversation completely shifted. It went from how do you manage model hallucinations to very quickly, well, in moment X, I want to use this model. And in moment Y, I want to use that model because I have a mission need to do that. Because my operator is going to do task X in this mode and task Y in that mode. And it very quickly went to from a discussion of me trying to convince them about how they should operate to them telling me how they really operate. And then saying, okay, now that, because you can't have that kind of a discussion. These are the kinds of people who say, well, we're not going to talk to you, or we can't tell you, or we'll have to shoot you kind of stuff. And so it shifts the conversation when you're focused on the customer's outcomes and when we're genuinely curious because we're going in there to serve. Now, I was in New York a couple of weeks ago, and I talked to 15 leaders or leaders of different organizations, primarily financial services, around security and around agentic AI and their security operations. The number one thing that they said that they believe Crogl is doing correctly, these are not my words, these are their words, is that we are spending and investing a lot of energy in building an enterprise semantic knowledge graph so that we know where the data is without transforming the data and mapping the data to the use cases. So that was the number one thing that came, and I said, okay, well, to every one of them, when they said, of course, I have happy ears on, right? I was like, great, we did something right. This is awesome. But why is that? Because and every single one of them who answered that question said, because we believe that everyone's looking for an easy button with AI. We've been working on these problems for many, many years. You cannot solve this problem without having an enterprise semantic knowledge graph. You can't do it. So anyone who's not talking about this either doesn't understand it or has just built something and just saying stuff just to get some points. Because we've been on this journey. We spend millions of dollars a year to operate properly, and we're trying to build these things. So I think the conversation has to shift from a little bit from the buzzword bingo to the actual operating task of what people want. And I feel that when we can get to that level of conversation, it becomes very, very practical and very useful for everyone. It's very enriching for us as well, right? We're product builders, but we're not here to just go say stuff. We want to learn. We want to build the things that will serve the operators out there. I want to comment maybe quickly on putting things in people's hands. I don't know how many agentic AI SOC companies have done this. At least I haven't heard of anyone having done this. Last week, we held the first AI SOC summit, near DC in Tyson's Corner. We didn't have anybody sign an NDA. We didn't have anybody, do some sort of, monitor them in terms of what they're doing. People brought their own laptops in. We gave them access to Crogl. We gave them tokens, and they used the product to solve their problems. Completely unattended, completely unmediated, completely undirected. And that is our level of commitment and service and our level of, mission orientation. Put it in the hands of the people and let them decide. And we're going to do the same thing at RSA. It's, people can come in. We don't have to drive the demos. These are security practitioners. They know their work. Yeah. They don't need me to tell them, click here and do that. These people solve, very sophisticated problems.
Yeah. Let's actually...
go ahead, Marco.
Let's just finish the time that we have now with that, which is the conversation that the people can have at the booth and what they can do, which kind of already went there. And I'm a little bit of a contrarian too, actually a lot of a contrarian when it comes to branding and marketing and how sort of cybersecurity world is presenting the solution, the easy button, to put on the bingo card again, as you mentioned. And the fact that the reality is different. The CISOs are having a different conversation when they're not on the expo floor. Maybe they don't even go on the expo floor, right? They talk between themselves. If they want to have a real conversation that is not driven by sales or by a prescript presentation of what you guys do, but really talk about where we're going in this industry with this new technology, I'm understanding that coming to your booth and meeting with you guys is the way to have those conversations.
I'm willing to wager that we are one of the very, very small number of companies that are going to have their head of AI and their UX designer and their chief backend engineer, chief architect on that show floor. Because we're there to have the conversation. We're there to learn and share and be challenged and be of service. And that's our goal. And so I invite any number of people who are going to be there, regardless of what you do, even if you work for a competitor. Just come if you want to just brainstorm ideas. I did a talk on this topic last year at Black Hat to show other people how to build an AI SOC agent. It's because it's so critical where we are today in the agentic space for have these open conversations. This is why we hosted the AI SOC Summit, and we invited all sorts of other people who have other products that compete with Crogl potentially. It doesn't matter. That's not what it's about. It's like we have to have this open conversation of what's working and what's not working and how to do it. And the only way to do it is to talk it over and to drive it and see it for yourself.
I think you summed it up. You're not there to tell somebody what to do. You're there to listen about what they do and learn from that. And I think, far too often booths are here's the new feature and here's the new product and here's the new report and here's how it might fit into your organization. And it sounds like, and I saw it when we were at Black Hat and RSA. You can get in and have a good conversation. So I'm going to encourage everybody to find you and the rest of the Crogl team and the head of AI and the head of UX and head of dev and have those conversations. See what's necessary to bring that SOC to the next level and to take advantage of the smart people you have. I think that kind of circle back to the contrarian, right? If your whole program is about getting rid of people and replacing them with tech, you might find yourself in a situation in a year or so that you're not happy with, and you'll be looking for those folks again. Rather, perhaps enable them with the right tools and map those tools to the business. You'd be in much better shape, I think. So good stuff, Monzy. It's always good chatting with you. And somehow we escaped this entire recorded part of the conversation without mentioning food.
Yes,
I'm just going to say Brunello.
It's unfortunate.
I'm going to say Brunello, and I owe you that. So we'll make that happen at some point, my friend.
Very cool. Well, it's always a pleasure talking to you, Sean and Marco.
We'll see you real soon for another conversation right there on the floor at Moscone Center. So good to see you virtually and looking forward to see you in person soon.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody who's watching this at the RSA conference.
And stay tuned. We're going to get into more of the contrarian discussion. I know you have a lot of scenarios and conversation points that we didn't get to today, so we're going to do that when we're on location there. And so stay tuned for that and all of our coverage from RSAC Conference on itspmagazine.com/RSAC. Thanks, everybody.